Every team, every topic, everywhere. This is Believe.
When you walk away from an outing like that, I know you're satisfied, but at the same time, you want to be perfect. What's your assessment of? And I know it wasn't your fault, and I know how you're going to be accountable. But what was your assessment of what happened?
It's tough anytime you lose game one, because then you really got to grind to win the series. So you want to, especially after an off day, you want to come in kind of rejuvenated and refreshed and get up on the right foot, and give yourself a chance to sweep, but a better chance of winning the series. So, all losses suck equally the same.
Walt said you emptied the tank there in the sixth. Is that how you felt about it?
Yeah, I knew, and I knew he gave me probably a little bit more leash than he wanted to, but those first two guys get on, Hef, comes out and just, give me a blow, kind of going over what we're trying to do. I get the first guy, I kind of took a peek back there and saw where my pitch count was. Once I got the second guy, I was like, man, I really feel like I was kind of rolling there. So, I'm aware of those situations sometimes and know when it's, kind of time to not really hold anything back.
Walt says you've earned that. You get to tell him when you're done, and he watches you empty the tank, and it's a beautiful thing that everybody else gets to see. What's it like playing for him?
No, I definitely appreciate that, and that's just being a pro manager. Honestly, I think that's, how do I say this the right way? I don't want to call it a lost art, but when I first got to the big leagues, it was more of like, hey, let's watch the pitcher, let's not watch the pitch count. And I think he does a good job of that. I was, I throw 108. I still felt pretty good coming out of there. And I think some of my best pitches were after 100 pitches. So, and there's other days, I get to, 87, 92, 94, whatever it is. And, so I definitely appreciate him, giving me that and, saying that I've earned it, because, that's definitely his call.
As a pitcher, there's a balance between turning it up, making it wild, may overthrow. You're getting tired, it's late. It's how do you approach those situations? Guys on, you got to hit your spots. You also want to turn it up, and you're sitting there at 100 pitches.
Yeah, I think you saw the first inning tonight. I was, kind of letting it rip, and it didn't feel right. It felt like, I was just kind of out of sync. Like my body and my arm weren't really working together. And I just realized, after that, it was kind of time to more like, hey, let's hone in on the mechanics and then start trying to step on the pedal. Once you get kind of the body and the arm figured out. And I think that's why I was able to kind of get there in the sixth inning. And again, I knew I was kind of at the end of the rope. We're in the sixth inning. I'm approaching 100 pitches. I think, I highly doubt I'm going back out for a seventh. So again, it's, you got guys on, guys in scoring position. And again, our bullpen's done an unbelievable job. Those guys, they work their butts off, and we've leaned on them incredibly hard this year. So, if I can keep them kind of in there for one more inning, I'd like to do that, because I've been out there before, and I know what it's like just to get one more inning sometimes from start.
A couple of years ago, Verlander and Scherzer both had similar years to what you're doing in their upper 30s. How much more do you, I know you appreciate every season you get, but when you're able to do this at this stage of your career, how much more do you appreciate what you're doing?
I'm just thankful. I think that's kind of the best way to put it. Again, I'm gonna sound like a broken record, but it took a lot of people to get me to this position. My family, some friends, a lot of people in Boston, a lot of people in Atlanta. This staff here, George and his staff, and Brad and his staff. I mean, they've done a lot for me. So I definitely appreciate being able to be where I'm at now, and just thankful, and try to ride this wave as long as I can.
Any more
Chris?
There's been a few situations where you can match up like a really, really tough pitcher for the other side, and the offense has had like a tough time dealing with them. And how does it feel like operating on such a razor thin margin when it comes to those games?
Part of the gig, man. I mean, that's what we signed up for. You know, you can't go into a start expecting to get 10 runs every time out. You know, and this, you know, I get fired up for games like this. I enjoy close ball games. I enjoy 1-run games, 2-run games, whatever it is. You know, that's, you kind of find out where you're at there. And again, you know, you're going to win some, you're going to lose some, but at the end of the day, you got a job to do, and you got to put yourself out there a little bit. You know, again, but with the offense we have here, I like my chances, you know, on nights like tonight. You know, it is what it is. You take this one off the chin because, again, what those guys have done throughout the year, you know, what they're going to continue to do. You certainly don't expect that, but again, it happens. You know, and I've had blow-up starts where, you know, I'm sure they thought they were going to get, you know, 6 innings of 1-run ball, and it's not. So you pick each other up and you keep moving forward, and you show up tomorrow ready to win a ball game.
Thanks, Chris.
Thank you.
If you like the show, please take a moment to rate, review, and subscribe. It really does help the show to grow. Thank you for listening.